So for this lesson, we're going to be talking about perimeter and area. And for the warm-up, I just want you to think about labeling these problems with the correct units. So if you wanted to find the perimeter, so we're finding perimeter of the school measured in feet, the label would just be feet. Whenever you find perimeter, your label will just be that unit. You don't square it, you don't cube it or anything, it's just that unit. If we were finding the area of the parking lot in meters, well, whenever you do area, you have to square your units because it's in square units. So area in meters would be meters squared. And finding the area of your desk in inches, hopefully you remember from part 2, area is always squared, so it would be inches squared. And since we're talking about perimeter and area, we need to define those two things. Perimeter is just a distance around a figure, and that's always going to be a linear distance, which means it's a straight line, so it's not squared or anything. That's why our labels were the way they were. And then area is the number of square units needed to cover a surface. And notice right in our definition of area, we're talking about square units. That's why when you have your label, it will always be squared. We've got different formulas for perimeters for rectangles, squares, parallelograms, triangles. We also have formulas for areas. You may have found these other ways before, maybe just by measuring around or by adding up all the sides. These are going to make things a little easier. They're going to make it faster. So for a rectangle, the perimeter is 2 times whatever the length plus the width is. So L stands for length, and if you want to write that in there, you can. L is going to be your length, and W is going to be your width. So it's 2 times length times width. Notice it doesn't matter which is the length, which is the width, because we're adding those two numbers together. That's called the commutative order of addition. Order doesn't matter. So you can have length and width. It doesn't matter which one is which. For the area, it's just length times width. Now for a square, perimeter is 4 times S. And remember, on a square, all lengths of the sides are the same, so this is just any side. It doesn't matter which side you pick on a square, all the sides should be the same. Then for area, it's just going to be side times side, which notice that's the same thing as length times width for rectangle, but we know they're going to be the same. That's why it's S times S, or sometimes you'll see this as S squared. For a parallelogram, your formula is perimeter 2 times A plus B, and A and B, these are just sides. So they're going to be the same thing as with rectangles. It's going to be a length and a width. Okay, you'll see those on the outside of a parallelogram. For the area, it's going to be base times height. And so above B, you might want to write base. And above H, you might want to write height. And I'll explain what those are more once we actually get to a parallelogram. Then for your last two, you're going to have triangle perimeter, A plus B plus C. These are just the 3 different sides. There's no easy way to do it for a triangle. You just have to add up the 3 sides. So these are just going to be your 3 different sides. A, B, and C. Those are your 3 different sides. And then for the area, it's half times base times height. And same thing here, B stands for base, H stands for height. And I'll explain what those 2 things are once we actually look at the triangles.